I'm Harriett Muffly, and I joined the church in 1953. I came in 1957 and just to visit Alice, and we were Harriett. Alice is my sister, and I was going on to California for a job in Pasadena with children in general pediatrics.
Okay, I'm Nancy Maltrud, and I joined the church in 1958. I came as a single nurse, just like Harriet, in early 1957, and I met my husband here, and he was Lutheran, I was Episcopalian, and I went to the Episcopal Church and the Lutheran Church, and really liked the people in the Lutheran Church. And Richard and I got married here in the church in November of 1957.
Mm-hmm.
And Joyce catered my wedding and made my wedding cake, and it was wonderful.
I'm Joyce Eyster, and we joined the church when it started, which is the early 50s, I guess. Well, Gene was out on a test in the Pacific, so he's not a charter member, although we, were here. So I always kind of held that over him, Yes, the Crossroads. We came early on and looked at the place, and then we came to stay in 48. And we had a little girl named Susan, and then Peter was born about a month after we got here. We didn't have the curtains up or anything. And then we had 3 other children, 4 children born here. They were all baptized here, confirmed here.
I'm Kathleen Hoverson, and I joined the church in 1952. Bruce was already a charter member.
What church
Bruce
is
and
it?
I were married in Wisconsin, and the day we were married, we moved to New Mexico. He was working in Albuquerque for the School of Mines. And so he had been going to the church, the big church downtown, what was it? St. Paul's.
Yeah.
Pastor Solker was a large man, and he came with hands, and they greet you on the way out. Came with hands with Bruce and I. And so immediately he said to me, "Do you sing?" And I said, "Yes, I sing." And he said, Thursday night, we have choir. So that was, and I said, I've never been in the Lutheran church before. So he said, "I'm going to put you between 2 women, and when they go up, you go up, and when they sit down, you sit down." And we were in Albuquerque for a year and a half. Susan was born there. And then we came up here, and I soon began to learn that I loved the liturgy. There was something that drew me here at Bethlehem. So I joined the church in 1952. Pastor Knudsen was our pastor.
Oliver Simi. I'm a charter member of the church, 1951.
Mm.
Well, I grew up a Lutheran in Michigan, so I had no idea that I'd ever joined any other church. When I came back to work here permanently in 47, I used to go to the United Church, but then I saw the notice that Lutherans were gathering, so I started going to the Lutheran, and I became a charter member, of course, 1951. I was married in 1952. My wife was a Methodist, but she decided to take instruction in the Lutheran Church and became a Lutheran.
Wow.
My children were all baptized in the Lutheran Church here.
I'm Bob Dannewitz, my wife Margie Dannewitz, and our daughter, who was just past 1 year old when we came here, and that was in April the 9th, 1953. We had talked to the pastor there, and he said he did some more research, and he found out there was a mission church in Los Alamos.
I'm Alice Harpedal,
And I'm Leroy Harpedal.
and we arrived here on Memorial Day of 1951. Our second son, David, was born 30 days later, and we wanted to get him baptized before Leroy's sister went back to her job.
So this almost sounds like the Christmas story,
Right.
where you just arrived to Bethlehem and
there we were.
and had a child. But
We had
anyway.
a child, and we knew that the Lutheran church was over there at the Girl Scout Little House, and we went over there and were received with open arms by people like Joyce Eyster and Alan Johnson and the Tysons, Hasties. They were quite a group, and we soon discovered that a big share of them were from the Midwest. So we felt at home, and we joined the church 2 weeks later. We had David baptized.
I'm John Yarnell. I came to Los Alamos in 1952, having just married the daughter of a Lutheran pastor. So that was really my introduction to the Lutheran church.
What church is?
When we had our first child, we decided it was really time to join the church.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1954.
I'm Charles Blackwell. I came up here in February of 1946. So there wasn't a Lutheran church here. However, I wasn't Lutheran to begin with. I knew nothing about the Lutheran church. My wife and I were both raised as Baptists, and they were holding meetings in theater number 2 up here for the Baptist church. And at that time, of course, they were having services over at what is now the United Church, which is the old Army Chapel. And so we started going down to the Baptist church until they got a new pastor. And the first Sunday that we went was our last Sunday because of a statement that he made at the beginning of the service. His opening remarks were, "This is a Southern Baptist church. If you're not a Southern Baptist, you might as well leave right now." I looked at my wife, she looked at me. We were both raised as Southern Baptists. We got up, you could have heard a pin drop, we walked out. We never went back because that didn't sit very well with us. So our son was playing with the kids further down the street, and they were going down to the Girl Scout Little House for services, and they were telling him about, here he is, a little kid, they were telling him about how nice it was down there and everything else, and he asked us if he could go down there, and we said, sure. So he went and found out that he knew a lot of the kids there, and he was telling us who was there, and it so happened that we knew quite a few of the people that were going down there, so we decided, let's go down and find out what is going on, because we knew absolutely nothing about the Lutheran church. So we went down and found out that we had a lot of friends down there already, and they were getting organized and everything else and trying to establish a church up here. So they started confirmation classes and all kinds of things in order to organize a church up here. So we decided this was for us, we were going to give it a try, and we did, and we ended up as charter members of the church, and we've been going to the Lutheran church ever since.
Our church was first established in 1951. In 1952, Pastor came. Pastor.
Pastor Knudsen?
Pastor Knudsen.
Davis was our mission developer, I believe. And he preached at the Girl Scout Little House.
Yeah.
But then I guess he must have gone and moved on when we had actually a building.
About 1954, wasn't
Okay, yeah.
it? As I recall.
In the early days, yeah, yeah.
And Jim Case and I had gone to Santa Fe, as I said. And on the way back, we thought this was a controlled burn. But both of us belonged to the volunteer fire department at the time.
And what did you fight it with?
Well, idiot's food is what Alpro Ryle called it, because he said anybody that used one of these things had to be an idiot. And that was a big long-handed shovel, and we was right up against where the burning, and we trying to trench it, and you threw the dirt in on the fire.
Huh.
And it was hot.
Yeah.
Hot and murky, sweaty.
Said the 54
There.
fire was supposedly started by the fire marshal as a controlled burn and it
Oh,
got out of
okay.
hand.
All right, these controlled burns, we don't trust much, do we?
We don't. It's two of the three main fires were intentionally lit.
Yeah.
When Pastor T-Meyer was here, he suggested we have a live nativity scene. So we decided to find a location, and the location was on the road, on the middle road, going down to White Rock.
We had Mary and Joseph and the wise men and the shepherds and they
Oh,
wound their way up to that cave. It wasn't all that high up, but it was difficult to get there. And
That's right, we had
it
Mary and
really
Joseph.
was, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing and a little bit of snow falling and I played the field organ. It was
Teaching Sunday school after he'd had a, shall I mention names?
Yeah,
Sure. He had the Harpadal boy and the church boy and a couple other 7th graders that drove him out of Sunday school. Well, they're all bright, you know, really, yeah.
They became doctors and lawyers and merchants and chiefs. I was practicing, I come to the garden alone, and Mrs. Oldie was playing the organ, and she stopped. And I said, what was the matter? And she said, you can't sing that song. And I said, of course I can sing it. I sang it all my life. You cannot sing that song. And I said, and why can't I sing it? Because she said, you are never alone.
Oh. I think that was when we were trying to raise money to get new choir robes, because that's another thing about the choir, the kind of robes we wore during the years.
And Joyce, I think you've been singing in the choir from
Yeah, I
the
know.
very
That's
beginning,
right.
haven't you?
We
Yeah,
had mini
yeah.
skirts for a while, and that was very good because we were up on the balcony.
Ruth Williamson was our youth choir director. And we had, between 20 and 30 young people that were in that choir and traveled to many places. One summer we chaperoned to the Navajo Nation and performed there in a dust storm. The girls all had pastel long dresses, and this dust storm hit when they were trying to get dressed, and their dresses were a mess. But they sang anyway, but they had to sweep out the fellowship hall there, remember that? Get brooms and sweep out the red dust before the choir could perform. It's a fun time.
And then later on, when there was a youth choir with Ruth
Yes,
Williamson,
yes.
and then on spring break, we would go either to Texas or Denver or something like that, and the kids would perform at different Lutheran churches. It was a
fun.
great time.
Yes, fun to
My
go on
kids
there.
just loved it.
Yes.
There were kids that weren't Lutherans, I think, that came because she
That's
was
true.
such a good
Yeah.
director, and, you know, kids.
And we had
would
some,
come-
and the kids had so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, competing with all kinds of things that are in the community now which weren't.
Yeah,
That's
This
good.
this was,
Yes.
this was a social core of mom and dad, and there got to be for the kids.
And like you say, we were all the same age. Our kids were all kind of the same age. So we just kind of grew up.
Mhm. So there's been a progression through the years
Oh,
toward
yeah.
a much more diversified
Oh, much.
church,
yeah.
Yeah.
The
age-wise.
one thing that has changed is when our kids took their first communion, I mean, it was a great day. We have pictures of them, and maybe you've seen them.
Yeah.
They were down the hall, and the boys wore suits with a shirt and a tie. And they had a boutonniere, and the girls were in little white dresses, and they had I mean, it was a big thing. Sorry to say, I don't see that now.
Mhm.
And I wish maybe it could be, because my kids were here a few months ago, and the first thing they said was, "Where are the pictures?"
Yeah,
They
I would
wanted
like
to
to
go down
get those out,
and see those pictures of, I wonder where he is or she is. And there's some place, I think they should be hung.
Yeah.
I thought for a while down that hall.
Well, the hall's gone though.
Well, then it's not in the hall.
And then the other thing that happened is when the gates went down, people couldn't invite relatives to come here to live, and that, sometimes parents did that, retire and come to Los Alamos.
Mhm.
And as time went further on, more of us decided not to leave and retired.
Yeah.
So the older members of the congregation, I think, has grown quite a bit. And we didn't have that when we started out. If our parents came, they were someone to take to school to show the other kids, because many kids didn't know their grandparents. You know, one of the things that's carried on through the years I'm so pleased with is Rainbow Trail. That's been an important part of our children's lives and our grandchildren. Paul's girls and our grandson Weston, they all went to Rainbow Trail. And when you ask the young people who are now in their 50s and 60s, the high point of growing up here was going to Rainbow Trail. And I think all of our offspring went there.
I like ecumenical things, when we did things with the Catholics,
Yeah.
Episcopalians, I thought that was healthy for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think tables of eight is a good thing if we could get more people involved in it. It's a really good chance to get acquainted with members. I think that's one of the things we suffer from, is not having an opportunity to do things outside of Sunday.
Mhm.
And
Memories for.
But I think we have a good senior ministry now, which has evolved thanks to Lynn Olson and other people. That's a going thing.
I think one thing we need to strengthen is evangelism.
it's wonderful to see the young people coming in and just pitching right in. It's almost like it was when we were that young. When we all came, we sort of knew we all had to be a part of it, and I think that's an ongoing thing. It's really exciting to meet the enthusiasm.
For me,
Well, every pastor we ever had brought his talent, he brought his expertise, and when he left, we thought, oh, now what are we going to do? And then the door opened and another one came in with all his knowledge and his personality. And then when he left, you think, oh, what are we going to do? And then the next one would come in. And each one brought something.
Yeah.
But
That's very
each
true.
pastor we've ever had has left something with us.
The family at Bethlehem has been so supportive of all of us. We've all had tragedy and wonderful celebratory times, and this has been the location where we have the family that surrounds us, because when we came here, we had to depend on each other. We didn't have family. And Bethlehem became our family, and still is.
I went to the Church of the Holy Faith during the evacuation, and I thought it was just beautiful, the one in Santa Fe. But then I came back and I loved mine even more because it was mine.
It's home, and it's
home.
yours,
Yeah,
it's
right?
all-
And you
yeah.
started it, and I don't know anything else.